Hi guys, welcome back to yet another YouTube video. I am so excited to be back and filming again. I know it's pretty inconsistent, but I do try and find time to film these videos when I'm not on call or weekends or nights or generally just life getting in the way of things. So I hope this is quite useful for you guys, and without further ado, let's get into it. My name is Yashika. I'm a PGY4 doctor now in Australia. I moved from UK in August 2024. So my last video was about how to apply to the Australian healthcare system and securing a job. And since then, I have got a lot of questions about things you need to do to prepare to come to Australia. So you've got a job, you've got your visa, you've got your opera registration. Now what do you do? Here are the 9 things I did before coming to Australia to make sure my journey was that little bit smoother. Point number 1, book your flights. In terms of booking flights, I probably did it the backwards way, where we booked our flights before securing our visa. Probably not the best way to do it, and I don't even want to answer why that happened, but it did. I think you want to book your flights after you secured your visa. Is when your hospital nominates you for your visa, you're then able to book your flights for it. My visa came just in time before my flight, so that actually ended up working out, but would not recommend for anyone to take that risk. If you do book your flights, just make sure the luggage allowance you have, because you are effectively moving your whole life from one side of the world to the other. I tried to make sure that we did have enough luggage allowance, but of course the flight can only take so much. So we ended up booking another sort of luggage company that's able to take your luggage from one place to another internationally. And I'll link below what service we use, but we use something called Send My Bag, which was quite affordable. I can't remember roughly how much we sent, but I'm pretty sure we sent 2 big full cases across, and it wasn't too expensive either. When you are booking your flights or anything else that you're using when you come across to Australia, make sure you save your receipts, because effectively you may be able to get those reimbursed. My hospital definitely reimbursed mine and my husband's ticket when we came here, so that was quite good for us. And point number 2, you want to arrange your initial accommodation in Australia. We just used Airbnb. We looked at what accommodation we wanted, what kind was available. For us, we had our accommodation also reimbursed, which was quite good to factor in with us, because then we know how much budget we had in terms of spending with our initial investments. Just to say, a lot of the Airbnbs here are very bougie and very fancy. They all have indoor swimming pools. They all have like this barbecue place as well. So whilst it may seem that you don't want to invest too much, if your hospital is reimbursing most of your costs and it's close to the hospital, I think it's pretty much okay with whatever you book, really. But obviously make sure you check with your hospital. So we booked our Airbnb for the first month, and within that month we tried to find more of a permanent accommodation, which I'll talk about more in my next video. Point number 3 is your GMC license. There are 3 options. You can go ahead with this. Option 1, you choose to keep your name on the register and keep your license. This means that every year you're going to have to get your portfolio appraisal done. You have to pay a fee of approximately £400 to £500, and you need to be linked with a UK health body. Now this can be quite difficult to do, especially if you're abroad for a good couple of years, and not many people go for this option either. Maybe it might be useful if you're coming back for Christmas and Easter and you want to pick a couple of locums, but again, this is not popular with many people. Option 2, you get to keep your name on the register, but you give up your license to practice. What this actually means is that you'll be paying a much cheaper rate of keeping your name on the register, so approximately £160 a year, but you won't be able to practice clinically. So if you are going back for Christmas and Easter and you do want to pick up a locum shift, you won't be able to do that. However, this option is probably the most popular one out of all of them, and I certainly chose to do this. Option 3 is to completely take your name off the register and relinquish your license. This means that you won't be able to go back and practice if you wanted to, but also you won't be paying that yearly fee if you really just want to take your name off the register. This is not that popular because a lot of people that come from UK to Australia in general, they eventually would want to go back to practice, and it's a little bit harder to do if you've completely given up your registration and license, whereas option 2 kind of has that sort of back door open where if you choose to come back, a little less harder to do so. Point number 4, you may want to join some social media or Facebook groups that allow you to meet other IMGs coming across to Australia. This can make the process a little bit less daunting and you feel less lonely. Our hospital allowed us to have a WhatsApp group where we were able to meet all the other IMGs, and I thought this was quite useful because there will be common questions that everyone is facing in terms of your application, in terms of accommodation, even transport. It's good to know what the area is like, because obviously, like many of us, we haven't been to this side of the world. Well, I certainly didn't. The first time I came here was when I arrived last year. So it's good to know what there is out there, what the systems are like, and someone may have those answers. So I would definitely recommend joining a social group. Point number 5 is your student loans company. I would recommend contacting your student loans company or updating your situation on their website online. And essentially, you want to tell them that you're going abroad and you won't be in the UK for the next couple of years. What this means is that they'll update your monthly cost of how much to take from you, and it will be reflective of your new contract when you're here. Now, I know a lot of people who haven't done this, but student loans have managed to find them and found their address and send them a letter to say, look, we are still going to charge you this much, or you may have to pay a lump sum. And this is because what I can think of is when you do go abroad, especially going midway, which is around August time, you may get some tax refund. But in order to get the tax refund, you need to update your address. When you update your address with HMRC, Student Loans is able to see that. Hence, they can now post those letters to your Australian address directly. And if they don't manage to find you, say if you do go back to the UK, you may even have to end up paying a lump sum with interest to the student loans company. So all in all, I would recommend the easiest route is just to update them and pay your monthly fees of the student loan service, no matter how annoying that may be, I guess. Point number 6 is your banking and finances. I would recommend setting up your Australian account before you even leave the UK. This might be harder to do if you're setting up an independent account in Australia, for which you have to be present and you have to provide your ID face to face. However, I had a bank account in the UK that was also known to Australia. So because of that link, I was able to apply for that account online. And essentially, when I arrived here, the bank account was easy to access, and I was able just to, get money out when I needed it. When you've opened up your Australian bank account, you probably want to transfer some cash into that bank account so that you have it readily accessible when you get there, because obviously you're not going to get paid for a good couple of weeks or even up to a month. Another thing I would say is that even if you're not able to set up a bank account prior to getting to Australia, maybe just have some international debit and credit cards so that when you are moving to another country, there's that ease of access of getting money out or paying your expenses with an international card without getting charged for the international expenses. So for example, Starling is what I use internationally, and that allows me to pay in the local fees without getting charged. Another thing you might want to do is take some Australian dollars out as cash before you get to Australia. This allows you to pay for some expenses up front if need be. To note, there is a 1.1% surcharge if you use card on some places. There might be more or less than that, but a lot of these places do prefer having cash. So even though it's not a lot, it might be something to bear in mind. Another thing to bear in mind is, whilst we're talking about banking and finances, ensure you have saved up enough money to cover your costs for at least the first month you're in Australia, in case things like your payslip doesn't come through on time, something happens where you're not able to access your funds directly. And then lastly, probably just tell the bank you are going away, so if you do end up using your UK cards, it won't come up as a scam or a fraud. Point number 7, if you do have any personal or medical health issues, make sure that is sorted before you go abroad. That can include things like long-term medications, which you get subscriptions for. Make sure that is something that you are able to at least have some knowledge about before you go there. Otherwise, you may run into trouble if you run out of your prescription, you're not able to access them as you need to. Me personally, I just had to make sure that I had my contact lenses sorted out when I came here. I know this is not obviously a huge medical issue, and I'm not going to pretend it is, but it's just something to be aware of, where when I did come to Australia, I made sure I cancelled my subscription in the UK for my recurring contact lenses, and then when I went to a optician, I signed up, got my eyes tested, and I got my contact lens tested as well. And this allowed me to resume the service purposes of having monthly contact lens subscriptions. Of that note, I could only access the service here with my Medicare card, and that is if you're from the UK, you will get reciprocal healthcare service. And then lastly, I guess it's coming up to the subscriptions and cancelling subscriptions. If you have any gym subscriptions or anything else that you pay regularly for in the UK, just make sure you cancel them, otherwise you'll be charged for no reason, as you won't be using them when you come here. And I think that is it. And those are all the 8 things that I did before I came to Australia to make my life a little bit easier when I came here. Although that being said, there was a ton of other things I did when I got here, and I'll include that in my next video. I hope this has been super useful. If you do like these kind of videos and the information I'm putting out there, please give this channel a subscribe, like this video, and share it. And on that note, Merry Christmas, guys.